All right, well, let's talk about some Ozempic here. Mm-mm-mm. Maybe. Mm-mm-mm. Here we go. All right, so I think I know several of you here I can see your chat, in the chat, but yeah, tell us where you're from, what you've tried, maybe something, what you're trying to gain from today, and we can kind of answer those questions and hopefully answer them as time goes on here. Mm-mm. So if you don't know me, my name is Dr. George Stanton. I'm a part of Prairie Sage here with my wife. Um, and I'm a functional medicine practitioner. We're doctors of chiropractic. We've been here. This is our ninth year in Garden City, Kansas, and Southwest Kansas. So I like doing athletic things. I like being out in nature, and I like being the visionary, the dreamer of dreaming up some things. So that's a little about me. If you want to know more about me, you can head to our website. I have my bio on there and everything I've kind of been through, but that's not why we're here today. So let's jump in and um, talk about why we're here. So uh, not that I would consider the GLP-1s to be a shortcut, but uh, the big question that I have for a lot of people on GLP-1s, what's after it? What are you planning to do after it? And not only that, have you looked into what the GLP-1s are doing and what kind of is happening after people get off of them? And so I think we can definitely look at some different avenues for helping. If weight loss is your goal, that's great. We are more about teaching people strategies for long-term success, and we want to get that metabolic health as much as we can in the best shape that we can. So if you haven't, you can download the workbook um, for today. You can take notes, and we do have a gift at the end for you guys for whoever sticks around. And we'll take advantage of a metabolic call at the end as well. So why you're here? You've tried a lot of things, and maybe some things have not worked. You're tired, you're inflamed, constantly craving everything. Or you eat something and then you have that sweet craving. You've tried some of the GLP-1s, or you're just ready to feel like yourself again. We've been seeing a lot of that lately. Like, yeah, I've gained 30 pounds kind of out of nowhere, and I just don't feel like myself. And we hear you on that for sure. We hear you. So what we'll do today, we'll go over some of the most recent research. There's one in particular that we'll definitely go over, and we're seeing like with any drug, there's probably going to be some repercussions, and we'll kind of look at what the repercussions of the GLP-1s are. They could be great for some people, but I think we need to do some things in addition with those GLP-1s if that's the answer, or if we can skip them all together, it might be even a better answer for that. So the latest research, we'll go over some of the things that people aren't really talking about, and then we'll tell you some things on how to lose weight and gain energy uh, as best as we know how to. And that'll be our five-step process there. Oop, I'm going backwards. All right, so Ozempic. So the latest research here is that first bullet point. So it's a 2025 study, but what we're seeing as people are on these GLP-1s is up to 30% of the weight loss is the lean muscle mass. And we're going to talk about why that's important, but that's huge. And it's been especially in females. And so there's even some people saying it was up to 40% of the weight loss, but even 30 or 40%, whichever one that might be, that's huge when it becomes weight loss. Yeah, we want to lose the fat, but we want to keep the lean muscle mass. There's a lot of repercussions if we don't keep that muscle mass as we're losing weight. And some of the things we can do maybe to offset that. Double the risk of wet macular degeneration. So you get that's causing vision loss is what it does. You get a pocket of blood vessels, blood vessels that shouldn't be there, and then you get fluid, and then the fluid causes vision loss. And so you're doubling the risk factor for that. The emotional numbing, you might have heard about that. We talked a tiny bit about it, but the research on that is starting to show. We'll talk a little bit deeper onto the emotional numbing part of it. And I think a lot of people So GLP-1s naturally decrease your appetite. But what we're trying to teach you is how to sustainably have a good relationship with food. And we don't want to numb, kind of like psychiatric drugs for anxiety, depression. Yes, they do have an effect, but they kind of numb you to the world. And so we don't want to numb our body to food or to any disordered of patterns of eating. We kind of want to embrace food and be comfortable around it and build some success around that. So weight gain, we talked about this last time. In the 12-month period, like majority of people are going to gain their weight back, and we'll talk about some of the repercussions with the 30% weight loss and then what you're gaining back. And then the thing that no one talked about, I touched on it last time too, is the persistent organic pollutants. The POP is what that stands for. But when you lose weight, some of these get released and they stay in the system for a long time. So we're going to go into a little bit of each of these. And I have to keep moving my chat around. So if you do have a question, uh, Dr. Michelle might be jumping in for me there. So yeah, this was a quote directly from that study. So you're not just melting the fat off, you're melting muscle. And that's directly from that 2025 study. So why lean muscle matters. So lean muscle, when you have more lean muscle as a part of you, you burn more calories just sitting, not doing anything. And that is really important for long-term health. You want to have the more lean muscle mass you have, the more your metabolic health, the better your metabolic health is. So lean muscle mass has something called GLUT4 receptors in it. And what those do is it allows your sugar in your blood to go inside your cell to be used outside of insulin. So you don't need insulin to do that. And lean muscle is really important in regulating that. That's how it regulates your blood sugar is within that lean muscle. So when we don't have that, then our blood sugar goes wacky. And we want to have a stabilized blood sugar for a lot of long term, like diabetes, yes, but in dementia, if dementia is in the family, or you're concerned about dementia, that's a huge one. Blood sugar over time is big in that world. So it protects against weight regain, which is what we're seeing. It supports your hormone balance a lot through insulin, which is it goes back to that regulating blood sugar. It preserves your mobility and independence. So as we age, the risk factor goes up for a lot of different metrics if you have less lean muscle mass. So we don't want to see more surgeries and more chronic illness happen because we don't have that muscle mass as we're going through life. So that's why lean muscle is super important in maintaining it through this. And whenever you take off a lot of weight, you're going to lose some lean muscle mass, but there are strategies you can do to regain it really quick and and prevent it from being lost as well, which is the goal in the first place. So now we're going to jump into the emotional numbing. So I stopped caring, not just about food, but everything. So you kind of get numb to the world. I didn't feel joy, just numb. And so that's where it's no good because yeah, it's numbing some of the negative responses to emotion, but it's also dampening the positive emotions. And negative emotions are normal. It's when they're irrational, it's when they become abnormal. And so we want to figure out why that's happening in somebody. Uh, so yeah, this is how it's doing it. Sorry, I have to keep moving this chat around. It's disrupting our reward system. So food for a lot of people is a reward system. We try to disconnect people from that reward system in food. Food is meant to be nutrition for your body. It's not saying you can't enjoy food. It's more you shouldn't get a dopamine rush from eating a certain food. And so dopamine, if you don't know, is that feel good feeling that you get when you do something you enjoy doing. So you don't really want to have that around eating certain foods, but a lot of people that are um, for lack of a better word, addicted to sugary foods, they get that dopamine rush. So they feel good in the moment, but then a little while later, they kind of feel groggy and kind of crappy. And that's that dopamine rush because you're like, oh, when I was a kid, I ate this and I remember feeling good, and you get that dopamine rush. But it's not saying like, hey, here's nutrients for your body. That's going to run your body really well. So that leads to some disordered eating patterns. So that's controlling some things short term, but long term, it's not really helping that long term healing, right? So that's one of the side effects potentially of these GLP-1s that we really need to look out for. So yeah, as I was kind of saying, true metabolic health. So we want to have that mind-body connection. What we try to teach is when we eat, how are we feeling? What's our body doing? How we eat is almost as important as what we're eating. We got to get that nervous system involved when we're eating, so we're digesting our food. Being aware of food, being comfortable around food, and not fearing food. That's really good too. And then how do we regulate our emotions is really health. Yeah, it's not about just being skinny. There's so much more to it. Um, and that mental mindset around that is huge. Thanks, Doc. And then nervous system balance. There's huge things that we can do for our nervous system that we'll talk about today too. So the timeline for weight loss for a lot of these GLP-1s, 6 to 9 months, and I've seen people go through it and they did good, but the question is, are we going to keep that off and try to sustain some habits with that? And that would be great. And then the secondary problem that we foresee that no one's really talking about is the persistent organic pollutants. So these toxins that get released from your fat cells, um, they're stuck in the system, and that can cause problems down the road. Metformin, if you're still doing metformin for weight loss, this is not a good option. Please do some other things. This is a lot of research behind B vitamin deficiencies in metformin. If you have blood sugar issues, depending on if it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes, there's a lot of things we can do. So, and then our Living Light Reset program, 6 to 10 weeks. So we're seeing some really great success, 10 to 15% of body weight based on these metrics, but really good success in this Living Light program. You're seeing insulin sensitization, blood labs are getting better, and that mindset around food. We're creating a better environment for people. So we're trying to create a long-term success with that. So this is just projections over time. I'll let you guys, we kind of talked about this last time a little bit. Oops, I went backwards. Sorry, guys. Yes, persistent organic pollutants. So body weight loss increases plasma adipose tissue, which is fat tissue, concentrations of toxic pollutants in obese individuals. So what no one's really talking about is we've seen some of this research from gastric bypass people where they lose a bunch of weight from not eating, and these pollutants are going into the bloodstream and they're staying there longer term. Like they are remeasuring these after 12 months and they're still high. And the important thing of that's when your organs get taxed by a toxicant or a pollutant like this, that's when we start seeing new symptomatology appear. So yes, we're starting to lose weight, but what is the byproduct of that? And are we getting that out of the system? And so that's the question. We don't really know what's answered with the GLP-1s. And this is some of the research from gastric bypass that we do know that's alarming that no one's really talking about. So no matter how you're losing weight, if you lose it rapidly, you got to make sure we're accounting for some of these metrics as well. So weight gain, usually accompanied by accumulation of fat and less muscle. So when we're losing this 30% of lean muscle mass, when we get off of our GLP-1s and the people that are regaining the weight, it's not lean muscle. You're gaining fat back. And so that is going to decrease your metabolic ability to burn calories just at rest. And then that's going to make all of your risk factor metrics go up as time goes on. So we want to be careful how we're doing that and make sure we're trying to retain that muscle mass. When we're looking at it from a metabolic point of view, which is what we're trying to do, more muscle is good. Okay, and that's going to be a less of a risk factor for diabetes, for heart disease. You can almost plug in any different kind of disease, and you're probably going to have less of a risk factor if you have higher lean muscle mass. That's really important, you guys. So willpower, we talk about this in the program a bit. Um, your nervous system being in fight or flight, which is your sympathetic system. So if you've never heard of fight or flight or sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, that is two different branches of your nervous system. So when stress is high, you get stuck in fight or flight. And when you're eating, you're supposed to be in rest, digest, and repair. That's your parasympathetic. So if your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight constantly, it's really hard to rest, digest, and recover. So you can't heal if you're constantly stuck in fight or flight in that cortisol realm. And we'll talk about different body types, but mainly cortisol is around the belly. So if you have a lot of abdominal fat around the belly, that can be high cortisol. And you can do everything that you want, and you can be eating right and working out. And if you don't deal with the cortisol, that is not going to move. So we have some strategies within the Living Light that is for getting you out of fight or flight. Hormonal shifts, insulin, huge, huge in this, and cortisol, which is a hormone, huge, huge um, in this realm of things. Sleep, really huge um, in the stress. So the more sleep you get, typically the better your ability to deal with stress too. So even one night of missed sleep, we'll talk about how the repercussions of that go up. But typically we start to reach for worse foods, more easily digestible carbohydrates that aren't going to nourish us. And then that leads to a blood sugar roller coaster throughout the day. And then identity patterns, emotional drivers. This one is a little bit tougher if you have some emotional attachments to food, but it's not, there are some strategies that we can use to help with that. And if needed, refer on to someone who can help you a little bit on a deeper level. But yeah, there are some emotional attachments to food. So you don't need more restriction, you just need a reset. We need to reset some of these things. So let's get into our 5 steps, you guys. And like I said, if you have any, the main thing with that, the 2025 study was that 30% lean muscle mass. Such a huge, huge metric that's coming out. And that's, as time goes on, I'm sure we'll figure out more and more about some of these medications. We always tend to see what is going to happen. We're kind of the experiment in these things. So just be cautious as you, and like I said, it's not that it's not for everybody. Like some people might do great, but you got to be cautious. You got to do your due diligence and do some research and weigh your risk factors on what you want to do walking into these things. In my opinion, there's better ways to go about that than the GLP ones, and this is how we can do it. So balancing your body type. So these are the 4 different body types: A, B, C, and D. You can see which one you guys are in here. You can even comment if you feel comfortable commenting with that. Um, I would say so. A, we'll go through which of these mean what, but A is your typical cortisol. That's the cortisol belly I was talking about. B is estrogen dominance. C is thyroid, and then D is liver. So knowing what kind of body type you have can point us in a direction on how we can support you the best. So cortisol, that's the A body type. It's mostly that weight gain around the abdomen. Slow starter in the morning, that's a big one. Craving salty foods, that's a cortisol thing. Um, Trouble calming down. So this isn't, yes, we need to do some things with your dietary shift, but we really need to concentrate on, hey, how do we regulate cortisol? Let's teach you how to do that. Estrogen, that's the next big one. That's usually the wider hips, thighs and buttock. That's where we're seeing an accumulation of fat. Um, Breast tenderness with periods, mood swings. That's going to be more estrogen type. things, endometriosis, uterine fibroids. There are some underlying issues with some of these things, but if you have the weight accumulating around this area, that's kind of where we want to be looking, is in that hormonal range of things.
Hey, George, just to sorry to butt in real quick. I just want to make sure everyone that's on knows how to turn on their chat, because there's going to be additional information in that chat. If everybody's quiet, that's fine, but I just want to make sure that if you don't know how to turn your chat on, that you do that, just so you're not missing on anything. So at the bottom of your screen, if you like put your cursor on the video, it just says chat. You just click that, it'll bring up the chat window, and that's all you have to do. If you're replying, there's a thing that says to, and you can change it from host/panelists to everyone. And that way I can see if you have questions or if you need any additional information. But definitely pull that up, because there's going to be additional information in that chat. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Dr. Michelle, and Baby Cruz there for the win. So yeah, you guys can be lively in the chat. Dr. Michelle will chat with you. I'll chime in as much as I can as well. So the C body type, that's typical of thyroid. It's general weight gain kind of everywhere. This is what we see with thyroid patients. So outer third of that eyebrow is typical of hypothyroid. Um, Constipation's huge. You need thyroid hormone in your intestine for that to kind of keep going. Low motivation, seasonal sadness, huge. A lot of vitamin D deficiencies with that too. So thyroid around general overall body. And then the last one, liver. So kind of the same thing. It's around the abdomen, but it's, I almost want to say it's like more rigid. And that's more livery. Sensitivity to chemicals and things, that's a big liver symptom. Tobacco smokes, if you walk by somebody, this was a big one back when I had a lot of my sensitivity issues. I just did not like being around. If I like walked by some, I could smell it like down the street and it would irritate me. And I was just sensitive to something like that. So I had liver stuff going on. Um, Chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, that's also in that liver realm of things too. So you can kind of go through, see if you're A, B, C, or D. Yeah, I would give the evil eye to a lot of people when I was sensitive to things. Go through A, B, C, or D, see where you're at. That's the first step. Regulate your nervous system, you guys. This is if you get nothing else from tonight, this is the most important piece, I feel like, for most people. So as I said before, you have the right side, as I see it, is the red side, and it's your sympathetic. And then you have the blue side over here, which is the parasympathetic. So these are different parts of your nervous system that control different things. So our parasympathetic is going to be more of our digestion, as you can see, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, intestines. And then our sympathetic is if you think about running away from a tiger when back when we were ancestral, it's shuttling things away from our organs and into our extremities so we can run. So if we're constantly stuck in sympathetic, we don't have as much saliva in our parotid glands. Our heart rate can go up. That's a cortisol thing. And even blood pressure can go up. Glucose levels can go up because guess what? Cortisol increases blood sugar. And so gallbladder function goes down. So a lot of these issues that people are having, they might just be stuck in a fight or flight constantly. And part of the living light is teaching you how do you get into this parasympathetic more times than not. And we'll get that rest and digest, and we'll get the recovery. We'll start seeing recovery, better sleep in that realm of things. So yeah, safety plus regulation. The breath, you guys, the steering wheel to the nervous system. This is the quickest way to your nervous system, is through breathing. It seems so simple, but it's the most overlooked thing by most people today. Sitting down and just doing, if you've never heard of box breathing, it's just 4 seconds inhale, 4 second hold, 4 second exhale, 4 second hold. Just cycling through that. That can be a game changer for a lot of people. Like I said, if you take nothing away from tonight, nervous system regulation. Huge piece of the puzzle for a lot of people. Um, and so, yeah, learn how to regulate your nervous system. Everyone's going to be a little different. Box breathing, awesome tool to use. But how many people breathe? Anybody do some breathing exercises? Any Wim Hof fans in the room? I know this is a topic that you've probably heard of, but over it, a lot of people just brush right over it. But it's so huge. I've taught, and Dr. Michelle said that this at times too, but when I sit down at the table, I take a breath and make sure I calm my nervous system down to get that rest, digest, and recover going, that part of my nervous system going before I eat. And so I've been known to tell our kids to do the same thing. I'm trying to teach them. We're big into generational health. How do we teach the next generation how to be healthy? So I'm trying to imprint these things into our kids so it's even an unconscious thing. They do it without even thinking about it. So think about your breath. Such a huge, easy, simple way to get to your nervous system. And then we're going to talk about the nutrient density and shortening our eating window. Some people call this fasting, but compressing your eating window. Huge. Lots of research behind how beneficial this is. This is how you preserve your lean muscle mass, you guys. Compress your eating window. Intermittent fasting is another term if you've never heard of that before, but it's the most common one that people have heard of is 16-hour fast. So you use your overnight fast, and so if most people might go a 12-hour fast, which is like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. Well, we're going to stretch that to the 16 hours. So 8 p.m. till noon is intermittent fasting. That's like a common intermittent fasting. And then you go from noon to 8 p.m., which is a 8-hour eating window. That's what we mean by compressing your eating window um, to gain some of these benefits. And then eating real food. Your metabolic system will thank you so much if you eat real food. It knows how to identify that. It knows how to secrete the right amount of insulin for blood sugar. It knows how to secrete the right amount of enzymes from your pancreas and bile from your liver. So when you're chewing your food and it's giving signals to these intestinal organs, your body knows how much of what to secrete. And some of these processed foods, it's such a big disconnect from our brain, what our brain think is going in our stomach and what's actually hitting our stomach, that your body doesn't know what the heck to secrete. And that could lead to a lot of these blood sugar regulations. When you get back to nutrient dense food, that's going to help restore that function. And guess what? When you do that, that regulates your hormones on how you feel full. So you got to get that real food inside of you. So these are the same amount of calories, but when it hits your gut microbiome, it's going to do drastically different things. So, and not to mention this probably has seed oils in it, which is high in omega-6. And omega-6 is pro-inflammatory, so it causes inflammation. So it's not just a calories in, calories out equation. Um, Calories can be important, but nutrient density far more important in this realm of things. So this apple is going to have fiber, it's going to have nutrients, it's going to have other things in it that your body utilizes other than just the calories. So this is just some examples from some of our clients that have went through Living Light. You don't have to be hungry. Most people are not hungry. In fact, when they're on this, it's more about getting that nutrient dense food in. But yeah, beautiful. Look at all the colors. Blood sugar balanced. So whole foods tend to balance your blood sugar by that mechanism I was just talking about. Your body knows how much of what it needs to secrete, and it recognizes how much protein and fat and carbs are in the things you're eating when you eat whole foods. So it's a lot less common to overeat when we eat whole foods. When you start adding processed foods in, and it can be gluten-free processed foods, you guys, it doesn't matter. It's still processed. So be careful. Even a lot of people think like gluten-free is like a big fad right now. It doesn't mean it's healthy by any means, but it still can be highly processed even if it's gluten-free. So just be aware. Anti-inflammatory. So our females lose a lot of their water weight before we tap into the fat loss, and that's okay. But blood sugar is what we're after and balancing that. Prioritizing protein and fiber, huge, huge. Intermittent fasting, closing that eating window. That helps our body get into a nutritional ketosis. Number four, sleep. Such a huge, huge realm. It's our metabolic gold, you guys. When we sleep, sorry, the slide's a little blurry to me. I don't know if it is to you guys, but when we don't get enough sleep, even one night, the research shows that uh, we get an abnormal ghrelin, so it makes you hungry, and then you're not satisfied, so you want to eat more. That cortisol level goes up, so then you start craving these sugary carbohydrate foods, and you start wanting them a little bit more, and that's just with one night of lack of sleep. So if you're consistently getting lack of sleep, it's really hard to get on top of the weight loss that you're trying to obtain and trying to get your metabolic system in the proper place. This was a huge one for me as well. I thought I was getting enough sleep, but when I measured it with Oura Ring, which is one of our favorite tools, I have my Oura Ring on right now. I like the Oura Ring. It tells you how much deep sleep you're getting. It tells you how much REM sleep you're getting, how much light sleep you get, how many times you woke up, and it gives you a score. The other thing I like about the Oura Ring is it has its own airplane mode. And so if you're sensitive to EMFs, I just don't like to have anything communicating with my phone if I don't have to. So I'm not a huge fan of watches that are constantly just connecting to your phone and back. We don't know the repercussions on those things. But Ring has its own airplane mode. So it takes all of the Bluetooth out of it, collects data for up to the full battery life, and then you can put it back on the charger and it'll download that data to it. So I really like that aspect of the Aura. But if you're not tracking your sleep, this can tell you this can just be a big clue for you on how to optimize that sleep to in turn help your metabolic system. And then your identity and coachability. I have had to do this a lot more than I thought I would with people. But changing your mindset around food and the identity of who you are around food. I would say mostly with family, friends, and social occasions. And it's all about coming up with a plan that's sustainable for you. It's not saying you can't have a good time when you go and do these things. It's just how do you approach it? And when we look at this triad of health, we recalibrate your identity, and it's just looking at things through a different lens is a good way to put it. And we kind of coach you through that. But accountability is the other piece. When you know someone's going to look at a journal of yours that you had, it's easier to say no to people when it's hard to say no. And then once you do that enough times, it becomes easier. Dr. Michelle and I have been doing this for over 10 years. And so I have no problem saying no to things when I go places. It's not it's not an issue. I'm really stubborn too, so that also helps. But uh, that accountability piece helps you get over some of those um, walls that are there in that realm of things. So yeah, the coaching community, huge. The research shows that when you have a supportive community, it improves weight loss outcomes. And not only that, it's more lasting. So when you build that community and you're doing it with other people, that's when we see that sustainable. And that's the goal. We want to see sustainable changing of habits. That's what we want to, that's our goal for our clients, right? We want to see a sustainable change. Cleveland Clinic uh, just pretty much says that when you're part of a group, you do better. Yeah, the patient outcomes are better. So here's the 5 steps again. Balance your blood type. HPA axis, we didn't go over that today, but that's your hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. We kind of indirectly went over that when I was talking about regulating your nervous system. That really helps with that axis. And then step 3, nutrient density, eating window. Eat the dense food that your brain and your gut know what's coming. Circadian rhythm, track your sleep, you guys. If you haven't tracked your sleep, um, it can really be. I actually had a client that got one and she thought she just was sleeping terrible and she was sleeping good. It was how she talked to herself around sleep and it made such a difference. So maybe you're sleeping okay, maybe it's the mindset around sleep that we need to work on. And then identity and coachability, accountability, really important parts to sustainability. So our Living Light program, um, we try to maintain that muscle as best as we can while we build energy and we release that fat. Supports your hormones, huge gains with insulin, blood sugar, normalizing cholesterol over time, nervous system regulation. And like I said, if you take nothing else away from today, guys, that nervous system piece, huge. Digestion, sleep, and mindset. We cover all of these built in the system. It's a system that works, you guys. Here's some people that we've taken through. A 66-year-old female lost 20 pounds, 3.5 inches. She had RA and she was off her pain medications in the first 3 weeks. Awesome. She was so stoked. I was pretty proud of her as well. She had more energy after, and then she kept going after the 10 weeks with everything we implemented, and she lost another 10 pounds. So she had 30 pounds total was her goal, and she got there, and just her joints felt a ton better with that rheumatoid arthritis. Really awesome. 34-year-old female lost 29 pounds, more energetic. This was a quote from her when we asked like kind of how things are changing. She said, "Well, for one, I have ankles. They have been so swollen for a long time, and yesterday I noticed them and can't stop looking at them at unswollen feet." So just awesome. That makes me smile every time I read it. She's able to zip up her favorite jacket, and really, we're looking at that sustainability, right? And so even when she lost, the goal is to stay within a couple pounds up or down of when we lose. And then maybe if we need to go back through a release phase, if there's a lot of weight to lose, we can do that. And then, yeah, we worked a lot with journaling and she felt a big boost from that too. So 33-year-old female, 36 pounds lost, man. Awesome. Awesome. The period's more regular. The box breathing, like I said, awesome. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, or 4 seconds in, 4 second hold, 4 second out, 4 second hold. And she was able to get off her blood pressure meds by the end of the 10 weeks. So awesome job. Love hearing things like that. That's kind of the sustainability that we want to create. 40-year-old female, we lost 16 pounds. Her waist measurements were huge. She lost 6.5 inches, which is just awesome. And then this is another one I really enjoy reading. So over the weekend, I had so much energy. I was on my hands and knees scrubbing the floors and walls. Then I found some roller skates in my house and decided to roll around the house. And so it was just funny talking to her after that happened. And she said, "I don't even know what's happening, but I love it." So not only the weight loss, we're trying to create a boost in that metabolic system. So we're trying to get more energy, less brain fog. We want that confidence that you're fitting into clothes that you haven't fit in a while. And then the sustainability of what's happening after those 10 weeks are over, right? We're trying to build long-term habits. So yeah, gain, what more are you going to gain other than just weight loss, right? Mental clarity, real joy. We're trying to teach you how to be comfortable around food um, long term. So just a little side by side of some of these side effects and everything with GLP-1s. So yeah, our goal is not just about weight loss. We want to get healthy people. We want to have your life back with that. So I tend to work with these people one-on-one. It's a group setting, but we chat one-on-one via journals, and there's a direct messenger chat. So we become friends over the 10 weeks. We're communicating pretty regularly. And then we kind of personalize it as it goes on. What do you need help with? And we kind of help you in that realm of things. So if you are interested in this, this is how you can get into contact with us, is doing a discovery call. So this is just seeing, are you a right fit for this? Is this a right fit for you? Do we fit with each other as far as like, are you comfortable with me and me coaching you? And we identify some of the real things going on in your case, review what you've done, clarify your goals. So what we're doing tonight is we're giving away a free discovery call right after this. So if you guys are really pumped and kind of want to get jumped in and just want to get going, I'll do a discovery call right after this call. So if you want to do that, you can comment just me, ME in the chat, and Michelle will take care of you. And the first one to do that is the one we're going to do that with. I can't be here all night, but we'll do that with the first one. So comment that ME in the chat, and we'll get you taken care of. If you weren't the first one, that's okay. We'll try to get you in as soon as we can, okay? And we'll show you how to book. But whatever you guys end up choosing to do, I always tell people go with somebody that you feel comfortable with. And when we have all this hoopla around the GLP-1s, are you conflicted about it? And if you are, do some research. It's totally fine to do that. No one's going to look down on you if you do research around something, I promise. Um, and don't feel like you get pushed into something. Like feel comfortable doing it. Do your research, whether it's our program or whatever you do, and just the goal is to be healthy. We want you to live an optimal, healthy life. And we want your metabolic system to be running, and we're going to teach you the tools to do that. So part of our discovery call is a root cause assessment form. It is a little bit lengthy, but it kind of goes through each section and gives us ideas where your stuck spots might be. So root cause assessment form. So who is this call for? If you've tried everything, we've heard that before, and we've had patients and clients that have seen weight loss even when they've tried everything before and didn't have any results. If you want to learn sustainable habits and how to keep it off and how to do this long term. And our goal for you is even we're trying to teach you habits that you're going to teach somebody else, like your kids, and we want to see it go generational. That's our goal. So if you have difficulty losing weight, if you have lower energy, poor sleep, imbalanced hormones, arthritis, pain, inflammation, high blood pressure, diabetes, this can be good for you. If you're willing to invest in yourself and to take action, definitely. If you're not to that point, that's okay. But if you already invest, take the step. Um, yeah, if you're feeling worthy of having health and body that you've dreamed of. And so we want to help you get there. Okay. So if that's for you, if this is not for you, if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm not really interested in that. And if you are, that's okay. This isn't for you. If you're not coachable, you got to be learning. It's going to be a back and forth, and we got to be able to teach you some things that you got to overcome. So you got to be able to grow during this. You're committed, but not really. I've had a few of those that they're like, "Yeah, I'm ready, I'm in," and then we get 2, 3 weeks in, and they're not really committed. So make sure you're committed. If you do the work, the results are there. Okay, you're not ready to make healthier choices. You don't want to change your eating habits. If you're not ready to change your eating habits, this is definitely not for you. Okay, we're trying to teach you what eating should look like long term. So if you're ready to say goodbye to all of these fun things, we've talked about different things throughout this webinar here. Yeah, no intense workouts. That's one of the things we talked about. That was a really huge one for me. I took the intensity out of my workouts, and that really helped my cortisol levels a ton. So if you come home like me when I got home from work, part of cortisol is you're short-tempered. So you get home and just things irritate you quick, right? That's a cortisol thing. So intense workouts, that can raise your cortisol too. And so we just got to be careful what we're doing. Can they be good long term? Yeah. But we have to regulate your cortisol first. So just pay attention. Start being aware of some of these things. So how to schedule, you can scan this code here. Um, choose phone or video. I love video a little bit more. I like to see you in person. I feel like we get a little bit better connection at that time. You can choose a date or time and then kind of fill out everything you need to fill out. So you might be thinking this, and I definitely have dealt with clients that have thought these things. I've tried everything. I lack willpower. We did have some sisters that went through the program and that had a little extra accountability that did really well too. So if you want to go through it with somebody, that's great. I've done that as well. You don't have the support. We have that on the back end as much as we can for you. I've spent so much money already. Well, you got to look at what works and you got to invest in yourself. You got to invest in yourself. No one is gonna have more advocacy for yourself other than you. You got to become your own health advocate. Being healthy is expensive. What's the cost? What's the cost of being sick? One of the things in my passion of generational health is I'm like, okay, you get to retirement, and then what? Do you have the health to actually go out and enjoy retirement? And that's what a lot of people I know they think about it. And that's one of my goals when I get to retirement. I want to enjoy it. I don't have to worry about going to doctor's visits and or knee replacements and all that fun stuff. So yeah, start now. So we've got you covered. I've taken a lot of different people through this program with entrepreneurs that are busy, that are traveling. If time's an issue, we've done it. I'm telling you, there's different strategies for all of these things. So if you're ready to do it, if you're ready to do it, then jump in and do it. If you're feeling conflicted and you want to do it, at least just do the discovery call. We can talk about it. So this is kind of the progression of things that happens over the release phase, which is 6 weeks. I'm not going to go through and read these things and take your guys' time, but you have this if you want to go through this. Awesome, awesome things. The cost of inaction. You guys, if you don't do anything right now, where are you going to be in 3 years? Where are you going to be in 5 years? If you have pre-diabetes, where are you going to be without doing anything in 3 years? Most likely diabetic, right? And so, what's the cost of inaction? It's time. You're losing time. And so, we got to help restore that and be on this trajectory, right? Oop, that's what I just talked about. So, the cost of inaction, cholesterol, autoimmune, heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure. Um, I start taking care of some of these things. These are symptoms your body gives you that something deeper is happening. All right, guys. 10 weeks could be a game changer for some people and beyond. So you can schedule a call. Um, I don't have my chat up. I don't know where it went here. Hopefully, if you stuck around here, we can get you your guide to detox your home. Appreciate you guys being here. Let me see my chat here. Do, do, do. Here we go. All right, yeah, Michelle's on top of it. Look at that. All right, guys. What do you got for me? We got a little bit of time here. I went over a little bit longer than I thought I would. Not too bad. Hmm. Okay. Well, thank you guys. If you guys are interested, get on that discovery call. It's a free complimentary discovery call. We can talk about your case in particular and how to go about if the living life's good for you, if maybe there's a different avenue that we need to explore for you too. We can talk about that. You can call our office. Let's see if Dr. Michelle sounds like Baby Cruz is doing some things here. There you go. Sorry, it took me a little bit. to get that's our office phone number. So if you don't want to click the link, you can also call and they can put you on the discovery call. But if you click the link, it'll kind of take you direct to our scheduler. Okay. All right, guys. I'm not seeing any questions pop up for me. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys for being on with us, and we'll talk soon. Okay. You guys have a great evening.